No doubt the coronavirus has changed the way the world operates. Technology has become central to business operations.
And rural areas, this has major consequences for upcoming businesses.
Hello everyone, or should I say hello beloved. Welcome to this channel. My name is Kahano Sudupane and I'm your host. We're here to discuss all things prop tech. This is the Smart Kasi Vibes channel, so if you enjoy this type of content, please do stay with us. And today we'll be discussing something quite interesting, well, interesting to me. It's basically, how do we develop smarter Kasis? How do we develop smarter townships? Some of the thoughts I'll be sharing are things that are already implemented in more modern societies, but some of the things are, futuristic. And so I just want to share some of the opinions I have. You may create your own. You're welcome to create your own and derive, some meaning and a way forward for how we can, ultimately get our smart Kasis, in motion. That's the goal. To get our smart Kasis in motion. So the first thing we need to solve is connectivity. Right? So connectivity is not just about having reliable, stable internet connection. Of course, that's a part of it. Many of our townships, we have quite poor network. It's tekateking, and this is a problem because now it limits how the market functions. Basically, imagine Gogo doesn't have access to reliable information about her backroom property business. She can't get market insights fast enough because her tenant profile is constantly changing. Gogo needs reliable internet to be able to track these changes in her environment. So basically, Gogo also needs this internet connectivity or efficient connectivity so that she's able to conduct transactions effortlessly. So in a smart Kasi, usually you would have Gogo having access to cheap card machine facilities or some cell phone transactionality which requires some form of internet connectivity. This would really go so far in helping her because it shapes the way she conducts business. But also we need to be careful here, beloved. So here's the thing. We don't want to make the technology too easy in the townships. Of course, when we bring in the connectivity, that helps a lot. But when we apply the things that the connectivity is used for, we don't want to make it too easy because there's a fine line between making businesses more efficient but also fostering a sense of trust. So there needs to be just maybe one step, one level of complication to just make the customers or the consumers trust the process, right? So even in the transactions, we don't want to make it completely easy. We just want to make sure that Gogo gets her customers on time. They don't turn back and say, "Oh, I'll come tomorrow," because that's quite a common phenomenon. They'll come to Gogo and say, "Hey, Gogo, your back rooms, this, that, and the third," and then they say, "Hey, no, I'll come tomorrow." Or Gogo doesn't have the pay point process at hand, and the clients basically leave because of that. So we want to foster this connectivity such that when Gogo has clients, she's able to cater to them quickly and efficiently. And basically, it's not about wires and signals. It's about weaving a digital fabric, right? That basically strengthens our communities and empowers business. So if we have a system, an efficient connected system in our townships, we basically can move one step closer to creating that smarter future. We heard of Wi-Fi being implemented in most of Joburg or our townships. I don't know. That's one of the ways. That's really one of the ways that could take us a step further in creating these smarter Kasis. And obviously with Wi-Fi we can do wonders with prop tech, honestly speaking. So another thing, we need to create community engagement. So what is community engagement? So community engagement is basically getting to a point where we have an interconnected kasi. Basically, imagine scenarios where property owners, instead of, restricting themselves and guarding their strategies, keeping things only to themselves, coming together in a space that fosters collaboration to say, hey, what's working for you that we can all implement, and what's working for him that we can all implement. Look, at the end of the day, if all of the neighbors grow in the space of prop tech, they basically feed into the economy and things get better overall. So it's no use us creating technologies that are too individualistic. They must be community-based, and they must inspire people to be able to collaborate. But obviously collaborate in such a way that it benefits everyone. So we just need an ecosystem where, man, you have workshops that become the heartbeat of the township. Imagine that, where property owners can gather and learn the ins and outs of using tech, even going as far as, helping each other access loans, access things like rent-to-own schemes, things like that, things that really already exist in smaller forms in our kasis. Basically, the whole system of what is that system? Mogodisano. That's what they call it in Setswana. So the basic principle of Mogodisano, which is a stokvel, yes, is already something that leads to, or that creates that community collaboration. So in the same way, PropTech should come in with such ideas to say, look, we can do this together as a community. We can own properties together. We can rent properties as a club, as a squad. We can get access to finance to build more properties as a squad, as a club, instead of this individualistic idea where, it doesn't benefit us much, because at the end of the day, hey man, you need collaboration. So collaboration, even as far as going to, spaza shops and things like that, are usually neglected when thinking about prop tech, but they need to be inculcated into the system. Because imagine this, you have a function, right? And you have people that are going to be coming from all over for this function. How about you collaborate with the spaza shops to say, hey, the people that are going to be coming, they're obviously going to buy from you while they're here. So it's better we collaborate in the advertising. So you tell the event managers to say, hey, put up the names of the spaza shops that are in these communities. Put up the names of the hosts that are in these communities. Put up the facilities that are available in the entire community, so that when somebody visits there, they see on the poster that this is what this community has to offer, and they can then choose how to best, experience that community. So this collaboration goes really far. When you have maybe guests yourself at a place of lodging, or some form of Airbnb, or whatever the case may be, you can collaborate with your caterers and create a system where it's a win-win situation for everyone. Whenever there are people coming, we know that it's not just business for the property owners, it's business for everyone that comes into the town or the community there. So basically, this is the whole idea. We need to start thinking in this collaborative spirit, so that it can foster economic growth and things like that. So that I don't ramble, let's go on to the third one. So the third one is creating cheap, smart home technology. Now, smart home technology already exists in several forms. In more urban communities, you have things like automated lighting, you have things like, remote controls and all those things. Yes, that already exists, but we're going as far as saying, let the smart home tech address the challenges that are in the communities, in the townships, because townships suffer from things that we all suffer from, like load shedding. But it's more of a problem in townships because they don't have access to faster ways of getting alternative energy generation. How about we get companies that go in there to introduce things that maybe are cost effective, so that Google can maybe go into like a power club, all right, paying for only the extra power that she uses during load shedding. So this not only ensures that you have a continuous business operation, but it also reduces the burden on the individual property owners to get alternative power. So if we can have, you know, sort of a shared system, this could help. Also, with things like crime and things like that. So safety is a big feature. That's a big it's a big thing that attracts people to a community. So if we could have smart tech that addresses safety and security, it could go a long way. It could go a long way. And look, there's a plethora of examples that we could go into for smart home tech that can be tailored to the needs of our customers, going into water management systems, waste disposal systems, solutions that really mean something to the communities, that address, you know, the real challenges of the communities, not just, you know, some fancy stuff that is expensive, that is high end and stuff like that. So this is basically the idea. So smart surveillance systems, community-wide emergency alerts to prevent this crime, and things will be good. Things will be good. Okay, let's move on to the next one. So we need to, as much as we are based, you know, mostly talking about prop tech on this channel, we need to also incorporate fintech into this whole space, because fintech is basically a feature that is intertwined with prop tech in some way. So we need to address the financial challenges of townships for starters, right? It's crucial to propel these initiatives, because what happens is we have a lack of financial services in our townships, and this can be a significant hurdle for people who want to embark in high-risk, high-return projects. Because an example of some prop tech companies, they provide software for redesigning houses, or well, they could provide software for redesigning normal township houses into multi-unit, you know, residential spaces. This whole idea and this whole transformative project needs immense capital, and if, you know, corporate South Africa and the banking sector of South Africa is not on board with such projects, we need to get then fintech that makes it easier for the connection, you know, from the township regions to the financial sector, so that it's not an arduous process of somebody trying to get into that space and say, look, I want to build and this is what I want to do, and the vetting systems must just be efficient, so that people don't have to travel all the way to the hub of the cities to get access to some of these financial services. So it's really about, we need to find technology that not only pays attention to the township-based initiatives, but actually actively supports them. I see Nedbank is doing something fascinating with a certain company that goes around promoting local businesses. That's fascinating. We need to see more visibility of corporate South Africa, corporate banking in the Kasi Township, so that people can gain trust of the financial sector of South Africa and also benefit from the same. Fintech in all its forms is also quite crucial, because imagine fintech is the key player in payment gateways anyway. So for any of your marketplace platforms, right, fintech is there as a payment gateway, but fintech must make sure that this payment gateway reflects the financial behaviors of the people that it serves, right? So it's not just about facilitating transactions, it's about designing tools that help communities save and invest as well at the same time. So you don't just create payment gateways that just give people money. You must create options within those gateways that allow people to save and invest. All right, so the marketplaces for townships really are endless, and some of them haven't even been tapped into yet. But things like catering, beauty, car rentals, property, and stuff like that could really go a long way in creating smarter Kasis. By transport as well, we could do a lot with fintech in the transportation of our Kasis, because really, this whole cash thing in the taxis, it doesn't vibe with me, honestly speaking. If we could find a way to eliminate that thing, scan and do something like that, it would go a long way. It could go a long way in making our Kasis more attractive, safer, and, you know, less of a pain to get change when you board a taxi. So anyway, that's just an aside. So, by the way, you can use these ideas, guys. I don't hold any copyright to the ideas that I share on this platform. I hold copyright to the ones that I don't share. But you may use these ideas. Go as far as you can in trying to solve some of these things. So, while we're still on fintech, we need to also not forget about the Mashonisa system. The Mashonisa system could benefit a lot from fintech because it is basically, a system that currently relies on the data to pay up, right? And the creditor has to actively go and remind the debtors to pay up. But what if we created fintech tools that made that whole process automatic reminders, live location alerts if somebody's trying to run away? Hey, look, we could streamline the process is all I'm saying, to make sure that our gases are smarter and that this type of business flourishes rather than it being looked down upon or people looking at it as a vice kind of business. So it could really go far in this regard. So what's the essence here? In essence, we're trying to get financial inclusion, right? And I know there are some informal businesses that are trying to enter the space with some smart technologies where they really cater to the behaviors of our local gases. Okay, so we need to just make our financial processes smoother, more transparent, ultimately contributing to the prosperity of the community. So this is what the future is for our gases, and this is really my goal, my idealistic goal. And really, for those people that are saying, look, we're gonna lose jobs because of what you're proposing, no, you're not. You're gonna gain more jobs because all that this needs is just a transferability of skills, right? So what happens is if we do the community engagement with proper education, skills are transferred, people learn more jobs are created. So we see it in that light, so that we don't regress in our quest to becoming smarter gases. So lastly, I'm going to talk about marketplace platforms. I touched on them, and basically developing customer-centric marketplace platforms. I think that's the key to doing business in townships, not just connecting people for the sake of connecting people. Yay, I'm connecting people who have cars to people who don't have cars. Hey, I'm connecting people who want catering to people who don't want catering. No. Make it customer-centric. Let's focus on Gogo. What are Gogo's needs, right? Focus on what Gogo needs. I know while many marketplace apps exist actually, and the challenge is tailoring them to the preferences that Gogo wants, and make sure that the services are there that Gogo is willing to pay for. I think it's lazy to assume that Kasi people will not pay for marketplace apps. Yes, while there are many marketplace apps that depend on a freemium basis or depend on advertising and they operate as freemiums, that's good and well, but it doesn't negate the fact that there are services that Kasi people or Gogos are willing to pay for if you can show that they have added value. It's not true. It's a misconception that Gogo wouldn't subscribe to a service or wouldn't participate in a revenue sharing model. In fact, if you create services that resonate with Gogo, she's more than willing to pay for them, because if they reduce the stress that she has to go through in her business. Remember, this Gogo owns a backroom business. If you can reduce those stresses and create value-added services, and also create a reward system for Gogo will gladly pay. So we need to also create a system where you create value for people, because if you don't, then people don't trust your product, because if it's too free, then they think there's a catch to it. So then that's why then you don't get full market penetration of your product. So I'm not saying anything, but I'm saying a lot. Whether it's in beauty, in cleaning services, platforms that need to be designed, they need to be designed with Gogo in mind. So what do you have to do to make sure that this happens? You have to go and sit down with Gogo and ask her, Gogo, what do you go through on a daily basis in your business? What are the things that challenge you? So that you can find user-friendly interfaces also that Gogo can understand. Use simpler payment methods, use simpler onboarding methods, use customer support that speaks to Gogo, and also use rewarding services that will keep your loyalty and will increase your retention rates. So those are some of the things. I know I'm a sucker for marketplace platforms, but anyway, that's a conversation for another day. So it's a tricky thing, right? It's a tricky thing. It's not that easy, but with the diverse needs of our communities, it's important that we create trust in the communities. The one thing that we can't do is create platforms and then just disappear from the communities where we've created those platforms. I think we need to then be there, constantly engaging the community, constantly improving with the community on what they want and how they can be best served. So it's about listening to Gogo. Bottom line, it's about listening to Gogo. That's how we create a smarter Kasi. And really it's about making sure that her experience is seamless, whether it's finding reliable plumbers, handling property-related transactions, whatever. Making sure that, we are co-creating with the community. So it's not about us coming with our crazy, wild, nice ideas from out there and then forcing them or force-feeding them to the society. It's about creating these things with the society. So Gogo and others in the township really, we need to get in touch with what their actual desires are, right, and generate wealth within the community in this way. So it's a win-win for everyone involved. And so, yeah, that's basically my piece. I know it took long. Some points there were, long-winded and whatever. I hope there was some clarity in what I was saying, and you'll decode whatever I might have encoded because I speak in riddles sometimes, but that's okay. But for all our viewers, thank you for once again choosing to listen to this point. We have covered 5 pillars of the journey in creating smart Kasis. The first one was solving connectivity, and connectivity, we said, is not just internet. We spoke about creating community engagement, and we also spoke about making sure that our fintech is on board. One other thing we spoke about was creating cheap smart home technology, and the last thing we spoke about is creating customer-centric marketplace technologies, so that we can have a really well-rounded, community that has smart technology that is not only for profiteering, but is also for lifting the economy and basically contributing to a much needed increase in GDP. Thank you for your time. Thank you for listening. This is Smart Kasi Vibes signing out. Cheers.